hi. Let us introduce ourselves. My name is Jolene. So I am a screen composer. I just graduated from RCM, and I'm here right now with my two friends from the RCM. Darren.
Hello. I'm Darren. I'm a composer at the RCM. I do a mixture of there was some woman who spoke to us on so yeah, I do a mixture of concert composition and screen composition as well. And I think most of us at the table are kind of working in the same sort of field.
Yep.
Or similar, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
And now this is Luke.
Yeah, I am similar to Darren, also a screen composer, but also interested in concert music. I'm from the United States, the Bay Area more specifically. And a lot of the stuff I'll be playing today is actually much more in the screen composition area. And it's all recorded by live orchestra. So yeah.
That is great. Okay, so today, with the live stream, today we'll be sharing our music. And first off, I'll be sharing my first piece called Soaring, Soaring Dragon, Leaping Tiger, or 龙腾虎跃. So this piece, it was written for the Tom Hall competition actually, and my inspiration is from the 24 festive drums, which is a drum performance which is really, really famous in Malaysia, and I'm pretty sure Singapore does have it too. So what it does, that you have 24 drums playing together with a very epic drum beat, and I'm adding orchestral and Chinese instruments in it to make it more flavorful. So we're going to start the live stream with this piece.
We should probably also say that Jolene has just released a new album that's available on all major streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Amazon, YouTube Music. And this is an absolutely epic first track for the album. So I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, hey Darren. All right.
Yeah, well done, Jolene.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. I
That's
really
amazing.
enjoyed. Yeah, I really enjoyed writing this because, well, I was in a Chinese orchestra a very, very long time ago, so it was a very fun moment to actually think back and actually think from a composer's perspective rather than the player this time. But yeah, it's really fun. Thank you for actually listening.
Yeah, I have a question for you right away.
Okay.
I'm always really curious because a lot of us composers, we think, as most of us are piano players, we kind of think like harmonically and melodically. How do you go about composing pieces that are primarily drum based or rhythmically? Like, just how do you think about that?
Well, actually, about that, I've been, these kinds of percussive music has been a culture in Southeast Asia. I'm pretty sure in China as well. So I kind of say that it's kind of like I've listened to it quite often, and during like right now Chinese New Year, we often have dragon dances, lion dances. We always use percussive instruments and harmony instruments such as like the strings and orchestral instruments, just only percussion. So that's kind of how I got the idea for it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's a kind of thing where with ethnic instruments that we are exposed to so much of it back home. I'm from Singapore and Jolene's from Malaysia.
Neighbors.
We rarely hear music like that in this part of the world. I think it's just I loved it. It's very familiar but also quite fresh because obviously we've been here for some time. So
All right, so we're gonna move on to the next piece.
Hang on, sorry, just give me 1 second.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of sharing the link on Facebook and some socials.
Okay.
We were literally thrown onto this live stream really quickly. We need some ideas for a caption. So I'm about to say, going live now with some pals, going live with some pals, going live now with some pals to celebrate Jolene Corder's new album release.
I'm gonna post it on my event as well.
We're literally saying all of this on a live stream. Let's put a chat. There we go.
All right. So Darren, are you ready to introduce your piece?
Okay, hang on. They're still Instagram.
Okay. Sorry guys,
yes,
give us a second.
Little spoiler, my piece is coming next.
I have an additional question for Jolene.
Oh, okay, sure.
Willing to answer it. So one thing I thought was really cool is you have kind of a speed ramp, or like, to use the technical musical term, a feathered bar thing with some of the percussions where it actually speeds up.
You mean like the introduction?
Yeah, like in the introduction. I'm curious, is that traditional of Chinese music, or is that something that's more modern? Because I'm not educated into that.
Okay. It's all right. Yes, it's actually in traditional 24 festive drum kind of repertoire. So they like to do something like a wrap up to give the audience, I guess, give the audience kind of like a starting soon. And in lion dances, before you see the lion coming, you hear the percussion first. So they'll be like boom boom, and then they start to wrap it up, and then you see the lion jumping in, and wow, it's just really fun to watch them do acrobatics. Actually, if anyone is interested, you can go look and watch at lion dances right now. Especially, it's still the Chinese New Year season. There's still dragon and lion dances, and they do really dangerous acrobatics. If you go watch the ones with the stills, that's just amazing.
There is actually a variant of it, the dragon dance.
Yeah,
which is slightly different. It's not as acrobatic as the lion, because they don't it's a dragon that's on a few poles and people move it around.
But it's just nice to watch.
Yeah, they don't really jump on things and leap around as they do with a lion. I do have a thought on your title, actually. Have you ever heard of the film Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
Yes!
That was literally the first thing I thought about. Were you in any way inspired by that sort of kung fu genre films, especially looking at a cue or a track that's,
yes,
at this tempo?
Slight influence by that. And spoilers, there is a piece that would be very influenced by kung fu, but we're gonna save that for later.
That is playing later, I think, too. Yeah,
sounds absolutely brilliant. Great. So the next piece that we're sharing today is a piece titled Muscles. It's a really interesting one because this is a track that I'm currently working on. It's unreleased, so we're kind of, giving you guys a little bit of a treat on this live stream. But it's sort of in the schedule for some time in the coming months, hopefully as a track for a potential album. This was a piece that I wrote originally for a film. So the film's titled Muscles, and therefore the track's titled Muscles. And it's a film that deals with sibling rivalry. It's about an older brother and a younger brother. And there are also elements of the perception and ambition towards this image of masculinity that we speak about in that film and hopefully in the music as well. The only thing about writing music for films is that the length of each cue or each piece may differ. In some films you have longer cues in general, and in some films you have really short ones. And for this film that I did, this short film, most of the cues turned out to be around 30 to 45 seconds. So it's a bit of a shame because when I was writing it, it was a piece that I was honestly quite invested in. So my approach was, okay, it's fine, we'll just leave the cues as they are in film, but re-edit the tracks and so that it can sort of function as a 5-minute standalone piece of music. So yeah, we could probably chat more after we've listened to it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to hear it. Let's go, Darren.
Great.
Wow.
Wow.
Thanks.
That is so cool.
I lost my voice doing all that grunting.
Yeah.
Was it about a day of going?
That was going to be my question.
Yeah, me
It's
too.
like, I assume that was you doing all of it. Yeah.
It took quite a lot. But so my approach was to sort of sample all of the grunting sounds instead of recording it directly into a DAW. And the reason for that was because I kind of wanted that sort of round robin-y effect where there's a similar sound that keeps recurring rather than, you know, having it entirely organic.
Yeah, you want that like chopped sound.
So this is one of the rare occasions where you actually want the sound that sounds artificial. Spoiler for a piece that's coming up in a while.
Yeah. I have a kind of specific question about a certain sound that I'm really curious about. You have these little like water droplet sounds in there. How did you make those? Like,
so these were vocal pops. So I kind of did like a into the mic, heavily compressed with a delay.
Because it sounds very cool. There's actually like synth sounds that can sound quite a lot like that, but yours sounds even more organic because you actually did it.
Yeah, I think there's something that, I don't know. I mean, me with technology, it's a love-hate relationship. I can do some stuff with technology and I just, you know, on some occasions I just completely fall flat. I find that with the human voice, the reason why I'm so drawn to all of the alternative sounds that you can make with a voice is because it's just so flexible. You can do anything close to a mic or far from a mic, and you get like a palette of sounds that you may or may not have imagined before. Go ahead, Jolene.
Oh yeah, it was really colorful. I just wanted to ask what draws your inspiration for this, and why do you call it muscles?
Oh, it was entirely the film.
It
was scored originally as a piece for a short film, or you know, it was music for a short film.
So the film is kind of about muscles.
It's about masculinity. Just to spoil the film for all of you. It's about two brothers, and you know, the older brother is kind of like, you know, really big and you know, muscular, and the younger one's kind of scrawny. He's still growing, but he's kind of, you know, there's a kind of aspiration to be like the older brother.
Okay.
He tries to, you know, play around with his deodorant. He tries to shoot a dog in the middle of the film. But he just, you know, their relationship is, you know, not they're not the closest siblings. So there's that whole aspect of the perception of what masculinity is, and the question that, you know, as men or even as women, do we have to pursue that image if we want to appear, you know, strong, or, you know, are there alternatives? And also there's that whole idea of, you know, is it worth having that sort of ambition, which is, I think, the point of that film, and hopefully some of that message carries through the music. But you know, music slightly more abstract. That's kind of why
it's a pretty cool piece. It's just amazing.
There's something so physical about like using the human voice there versus, I mean, obviously playing any instrument is physical to respect, but like hearing the actual breath for some reason just evokes that like certain almost like tribal physical kind of baseline feeling. So I think it works really effectively for your description of it.
Thanks. I'm glad you feel the same.
I don't know, it just makes it sound alive. That's what I feel.
Absolutely.
Great.
Okay,
so we're on to the next piece.
So there's a bit of a story behind this, much like many of the other pieces. So this piece was actually done for the NYU film scoring workshop in New York. So it's basically a 2-week program, and you have 1 week to write an orchestral piece to a cue, and then it gets recorded. So they have all these clips from movies that have been approved by the directors, that have like all the sound, all the music stripped. So this cue was recorded as a rescore of Arrival, which I thought was really cool that they had that clip because it's such a contemporary movie. And I wanted to score it because the original score is not orchestral at all. It's more sound design based. So I wanted to see what kind of a large orchestra would do. There's a mix between electronic elements and some orchestral elements. We actually had an opportunity to record prepared piano, which was like make samples out of prepared piano, which is so cool because very rarely do you have an opportunity to like get a nice piano and like mess with it. So there's some sounds in there that are like electronic processing of prepared piano. There's some orchestra stuff, and that's about it.
I can't wait to hear it. Come.
Me too.
I really want to hear it now. Wow, I'm enjoying the harmonies in there. I just don't know. I have a thing for chords that sounds so good. I'm like, wow.
So yeah, one of the kind of interesting things, I didn't want to get too music nerdy at first when I was introducing it, but one of the interesting things that I do like about this track is I use kind of a weird scale throughout. I use a Lydian augmented scale, which is kind of cool because there's certain ways you can have like voice chords and notes you can include that might make it sound much less dissonant and very beautiful. And then you can start using like those tritones, those more dissonant notes to kind of slowly incorporate that level of like alien sounding. So because I was trying to go for something that sounded both human and alien because there are aliens in the film.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I went with like kind of a weird scale for that, for a lot of it.
Right. So this was a rescore for a clip in Arrival.
Yes.
And with Arrival, anyone who's seen or heard the film would have a natural association or would make a natural association with Jan Jansen. And obviously this track sounds a world apart from what Jansen has written. So was this a deliberate attempt to, take the film in your own direction, or were there elements that were inspired by
100%. I think I really wanted to do something different. So like, for instance, one of the other clips that was available was How to Train Your Dragon. And a lot of the people the famous How to Train Your Dragon fight scene. So a lot of people
should do How to Train Your Dragon with 8-bit.
Yeah.
You can win a competition.
That's true.
Okay, we shouldn't have said that in my stream. But
so with that, a lot of the music that people were writing, which was really great as well, was much more in the realm of that original score. And I chose Arrival because I thought, okay, I don't have to, because it's an orchestra, totally different instrumentation, and because I write so differently than him, I don't have to compete with the score at all. So I always think when I'm doing like rescores of things, I don't want to compete with the original because it probably won't be as good. So I might as well do something different than it. So I very much intentional. I would say the only thing that is maybe drawn from the Johansson stuff is just that I knew I wanted to include some hybrid electronic elements because I think him doing that was fitting for the film. Where I was like, I don't think it should just be straight orchestra, which I could have totally done, and some people did it that way. But I wanted to include the electronic elements because I think that really worked in his score. but very differently because they're more subtle and different types of electronics.
And I think it kind of works quite poetically with the film as well. I mean, we didn't see the film now, but just thinking conceptually, Arrival's a film that deals with understanding an alien language using people and technology.
Exactly.
Through technology. So in some way there is that relationship.
I also think like sometimes when I did it without the electronics originally, because we're making drafts of this, it almost sounded too basically too old, if that makes sense. Like the film is very modern, it's very kind of minimalist and just very much in like kind of this cold, sterile, modern environment. And I thought it sounds too much like a kind of genre misplacement to do just an orchestral score against, like you said, a film that has so many things involving technology. And like, for instance, the giant orb floating in the sky just feels like it calls for some electronics and not just like a classical, orchestral score. So
amazing.
All right.
Great. So we've gone one round.
Yeah.
I suppose we're on to our second.
Okay, second round. So amazing. Second round, it will be my piece that I wrote when I was graduating from Taiwan. It was actually for a friend, but unfortunately, due to COVID, we didn't actually perform this piece. So I actually went out to like, why not making it in the album, because it actually has a meaning. So it's called Omoide, or memories. So we were talking about like we had such great memories in the school and with collaborating people. So I was thinking of writing a piece like that, and it's a piece for the flute, the cello, and the piano. I wanted to try a different kind of instrumentation, but here, let's go listen to it.
Okay. Jolene.
And for those who are listening out there, this is another track from Jolene's new album.
Yeah.
So check her out, guys, on Spotify, Apple
it's
Music, iTunes, streaming platforms. You know, all of them.
I actually wanted to add on, if everyone was looking at YouTube, that's the title card of the piece. So actually my dad has been helping us with all of this live stream and the poster and stuff. I wanted to add, like, on the right hand side, the lady is actually my grandma. I just knew, and she looks really pretty.
What, you mean after all this time you didn't know that the person is a grandma?
I never met her in person because she passed away before.
Oh,
okay, got
so,
it. That makes sense. That's nice though.
Yeah, that's really nice to have that feature in your. Yeah, it's great. I mean, I've known you for a few years, and it seems like, you know, chamber music is something that you're really interested in. You've done like loads of chamber pieces, not just as pieces of concert music, but for films as well. And I think you've once mentioned that your teacher encourages you to work with small forces, because it's, you know, it's by working with small forces that you you optimize those instruments, or you exploit them, depending on depending on what sort of connotation you like to take. What are your thoughts on that? Do you still are you still intending to go in that direction, or
actually, well, for reference, my professor is actually Francis Shaw. I was studying under him when I was in RCM. So yeah, he actually gave us a rule. I'm pretty sure whoever was under him was like, okay, you only can use 6 instruments, and that's the max. And you cannot use piano.
Because that's cheating.
So that's cheating. So that makes us actually think about the range of the instrument, what color we can produce from different ranges, and, you know, actually fully utilizing, like what you said, fully utilizing the instrument to its full potential. And actually it comes out with a lot of ideas. And yeah, actually most of my recent collaboration with filmmakers like LFS and some of the previous LFS students and their friends who called me to help out, they had films that only used like chamber instruments, or maybe less than 3 instruments, which, by the way, it's fine actually. You don't actually need like a full-on orchestra to help you score the whole thing, which is now, you know, filmmakers need, composer needs to think about it.
Yeah, 100%. I really think with these forces and like what you wrote, it sounds very full still, because there's kind of this thought that anything other than the largest forces, anything less than that will be less powerful proportionally. But it's really not true, because you have things mic'd closer, they fill up the space more. And that sounded like a trio like that can sound very, very full.
Yeah, I was about to say that like, you know, in this track and in some of the other pieces that I've heard from you, you have this gift where you're able to make a small ensemble sound really big. And it's a real skill.
Yeah, especially given like the budgets we're working on, because in a way, like working with the smaller forces and getting live players is going to be so much better in a lot of cases than trying to mock up a whole orchestra, which people can do an excellent job with that. But think about, you're competing with John Williams, you're competing with the LSO, you're competing with those scores. And even if you're great at mock-ups, there is going to be a gap there, versus you can record great chamber players like we have at the RCM, and it can sound as good as other chamber scores. So
and actually I think vice versa as well, like, you know, to make a large ensemble, a large orchestra sound small, that is an incredibly magical effect.
That's a good point too, actually. I think a lot of composers, including myself, don't make enough use of that, because it's really true.
All right, thanks for listening.
I believe the next piece is
me.
It's Luke.
Sorry. The reason I was looking at my phone is that the order of this. So my next piece is also similarly a rescore as well, because a lot of these like live orchestra pieces kind of work better to like larger films and things like that. This is very different genre. This is why I placed it there. This is an animated film. It's Wall-E. It's the scene where him and Eva are dancing in the air. The Tom Newman score is really great. I was a little bit intimidated to do this, but I went with a bigger orchestra than he did for that. So again, I tried to do something a little bit different with this, and really write in a style that honestly I'm not as comfortable with, because I kind of come from contemporary classical composition. So writing this type of a little bit more whimsical, really traditional film scoring idiom is very different for me. So I wanted to like really hone in on that and practice with it. So yeah.
Let's listen to it.
All right. Kind of, again, me putting myself in a little bit of an uncomfortable genre, because a lot of stuff I get asked to do too is like more so the Arrival type stuff that's a little edgier, the harmony's a little darker. So doing something a little bit more fun like that is weirdly a bit of a stretch, because most film composers are much more comfortable in that environment. So yeah, but it was a little bit, it was fun almost getting into your like childlike side, because Wally, he's a robot, but in many ways his emotions are much closer to a kid who's like for the first time has been in love. So you really very much have to capture that kind of like cute innocence when you're trying to score this type of thing.
It's just a shame that we didn't get to actually watch it with the.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's the thing about a lot of these clips is unfortunately they're copyrighted. So even though like I might have them access to these clips as practice or for the workshop, you still can't like stream them on a YouTube channel and things like that, because it'll get taken down automatically probably.
Yeah.
Which is what we don't want. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I got a question. Okay. So I remember Thomas Newman's take on this, kind of like a waltzy kind of view.
Yeah.
So, if I were doing that, I might stray into that kind of.
Yeah.
So how did you?
I go into a waltz for the last part of it.
Yeah.
But there's a certain point where I really wanted to transition to the waltz, where I felt like they were, because the beginning of this clip is really them kind of, he has like a little fire extinguisher and he's floating through space. It's them trying to like grab onto each other and to keep missing. So that's what a lot of that is. And then when they start actually like getting a hold of the flying is when I switch into the waltz.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I very much, because it's interesting, like with the Johan Johansson versus this I knew I had to stick a little bit closer to what Tom Newman did because it was so right for it, but just kind of do it with different instrumentation. But I figured like, why try to get too cute with this? Why try to get too out there? It's a dance thing. It's very like cute and classic, like make it a waltz. I don't need to do anything more than that, I don't think, in terms of the type of style of music I'm writing there.
That's a good concept.
Yeah.
What do you think, Darren?
Yeah, it's great. Actually, I was just trying to sort a technical issue because playback isn't. I was just wondering if we could maybe have like a 3-minute sort of pause.
Intermission.
Yeah, intermission, just so that we can sort this out, and we'll be right back.
Yeah.
With
Sorry
everyone.
about that,
so
guys.
if we just get a screen,
We'll be back.
Be right back.
So what's the sorry, are we Oh yeah, we're good.
Amazing.
All right.
Can we
Cool.
go?
Two, one. Right. We're
Sorry
back.
about that, guys.
Okay. Oh, this feels so much better. Because basically, for those who are watching out there, what we were hearing was
Yeah.
so everything was just chopped up. But yeah, this feels great now.
So yeah.
Amazing.
Next.
Right. So next piece is titled Artificial Thyroidistinoids. And this was a piece that I originally wrote as a piece of concert music for a mixed chamber ensemble. So it's kind of like, we've got winds, flutes, oboe, clarinets, saxophone, horn, bassoon, and a string trio. So that's a violin, viola, and cello. So actually it's really funny because about a year ago we recorded this piece. So me and a couple of friends we recorded this piece as a concert version of this piece. So it was done like that, and in releasing those recordings we did a live stream as well. We spoke about it. So in now releasing, well, not exactly releasing, but sort of teasing the album version of this piece, this somehow feels oddly familiar. But it's really interesting sort of, revisiting this work a year later and constructing what I now refer to as the album version of Artificial Thyroidistinoids, in that, having matured as composer and having, done a bit more electronic stuff over the year, I feel like, at this point in my life, I'm able to just add just that bit more of, depth to a piece, which, all these things. So for instance, it's still the original acoustic recording, but with, some electronic manipulations of sounds, and I've also added other layers of like synth pads and synth bass, all of which I, me a year younger would have killed to have in there, but I wasn't able to do that. And now that I'm able to do that, it just feels like, whoa, okay, this was the piece that I've always sort of imagined from the get-go. So I hope you enjoy it. I won't spoil it any further, and I should probably also say that what we're about to hear on this live stream today is an excerpt from the track. The full thing, for any of you who are curious to give it a go, will be dropping on Spotify and iTunes and all those streaming platforms within a week. So it's very exciting.
Check it out, guys.
Yeah. So this is a little teaser which I hope you'll enjoy. There we go. So that was artificial thyroidistinoids.
That was so good.
The album version of it.
Yeah, wow, that was a really, really amazing piece. One thing I'd love to ask you about is those fluttering sounds that you did. Those are so cool, and it's one of the things I love about that is it's not just layering a synth on top of something, it's actually processing the live sound, which I think is really, really impactful. And I'm curious how you did that.
Yeah, so the manipulation was twofold. There were some physical manipulations that was done through the instrument. So basically, I got some of the wind, well, actually, all of them. Yeah, all of them had to do it, to sing through their instruments, some of them without the mouthpiece, and do random key clicking. And in doing so, you naturally distort the sound of the voice. You get a kind of bubbling effect. And then I've further manipulated that using electronics. And we were, so basically we were just talking about this while the piece was playing. And it was this particular plugin that I use. It's kind of like a modulator or gate that's called Chopper, which kind of breaks the sound apart with a specific frequency. So yeah, that was really fun to do.
Yeah, so it sounded really cool.
Thanks.
It's just that you know so much on manipulating sounds. I just know that this goes where I'm so used to classical or orchestral music, but I never venture in to that realm. I'm really scared because I have no idea how you guys do that, but it's so interesting with the end result coming like this. It's out of this world, actually.
Thanks. I'm glad you found it convincing and creative in some way. I mean, I really do enjoy manipulating sounds, whether it is through physical manipulation as we did through the instruments or electronically. I think for me as a composer, I've said this to a couple of my friends, but I don't think we've really talked about this in great detail yet, like the three of us. But each composer, whether you're a film composer or concert composer, we think about musical parameters because that's our job. We work with them. So things like pitch, rhythm, color, and orchestration, form, that sort of thing. But the difference between each composer, even though we all think about the same parameters, is the order in which we think about them.
Oh, that's really, I never thought about that.
Yeah, so some, you know, some composers tend to be more pitch oriented. Some people tend to be more rhythm oriented. For me, I tend to think about color and orchestration as my sort of, you know, the first stepping stone that I have into a piece. So, you know, colors like that, they really do appeal to me.
Yeah.
Like, this was the concept that I thought about even before I wrote a note.
One thing I really love about this piece is that it blurs what's electronic and what is acoustic, because when you're starting to use some of these extended techniques that people aren't as used to, it actually sometimes makes you like question, it's like, is that a synth? Is that an effect? Is that like when you have them go to soprano, you could probably get a similar effect by EQing or distorting in a certain way. And then you could even layer both on top of each other and get even more of that effect. Yeah, absolutely. So I love that you can't necessarily, there are some tracks that you can pick out, here are the acoustic elements, here are the synth elements, and that can be really effective too. But I do love that it's really blurred between everything, which I think is really effective.
Thank you. Yeah. I should probably also say that all of these sort of extended sounds or manipulated sounds, they come with a fair amount of experimentation prior to me actually, you know, deciding to do it. So, you know, with plugins, for instance, I spent quite a bit of time going through all of them and trying different, you know, plugins to find the specific one and the specific parameters of that specific plugin, which would work in context of the piece. And I guess, you know, it wouldn't just be the case of, I like this plugin that works in a particular piece, and therefore I just, you know, copy and paste it onto it. You kind of have to tweak it, and you know, you kind of have to experiment and listen and use your ears with any of these sort of things that you do.
I really like that you actually talked about the composers thinking about pitch, harmony, and stuff.
Yeah,
that should be like.
Just a curious question. What do you think about, like, both of you?
So I would say I'm similar to you in that's why that piece for the Wally thing was a little bit different for me, where I'm much more color based as well. I would say color is my way into a lot of pieces. Just that's what kind of gets me started a bit. And then I would even say rhythm is next. And weirdly, and this is something I develop and work on a good amount. And one of the reasons I love film scoring is sometimes melody can be last for me. But one thing I love about film scoring is I know in film scoring, I need to have melodies and I need to develop those, so it gets me out of my kind of way into especially concert music. A lot of my concert music stuff is not very melodically driven. Similar to you.
Quite the same, actually. Like, I think for me, with regard to melodies, someone tell me. I tend to be a more coloristic composer, and therefore, you know, when it boils down to me writing melodies, I tend to question myself very harshly, like, you know, whether or not the piece, whether it's a piece of concert music or film music, whether it really requires one. And if it does, it'll be there. If it doesn't, then, well, too bad. What about Jolene?
Oh gosh, that's so different from me.
You can hear it in the music.
Because the first thing that comes out is melody, and then it just kind of, I don't know, melody kind of just flows easily for me. And then I go into harmony and then rhythm. But color is something I'm trying to venture out a little. But it's so different. It's so cool.
I think we're all trying to also expand into the things we don't go to first, because you can, even if it's not what you go to first, it can help to have those little elements in there of the other things. But I've never heard that analogy. It's such a good one. It's not an analogy, it's just
it's actually good.
There we go.
Rather than asking horoscopes, we should ask that.
I don't even know.
I don't even care.
Okay,
we're straying too far, so let's go to the next piece.
The next piece is me again, because my pieces are a little shorter. We're doing 3 of them. So this piece, again, I try to keep all the same theme of what I was doing, is live orchestra piece, rescore of Children of Men, the movie. I thought this was a really good choice because 1, I love the movie, and 2, it doesn't have much music in it. So I was actually able to just get the sound design of this scene because there's no music in it, and I just rescore it. That's kind of a fun, I don't know if it's a trick, but it's something you may not realize if you're looking for clips to score. There's a lot of scenes in movies that would be great to score that just don't have music. Yeah. So you can just score over them. So this is called Saving the Child. And the reason being is, I'm not going to spoil too much about Children of Men's plot, but there's a certain scene where they have to rescue a very important child. So this is almost a little bit of an action type thing, but I wanted to do an action thing without any drums or percussion in it, because this scene has a lot of gunfire and kind of percussive elements in it, where I found when I was scoring with percussion, it just became kind of a cacophony of kind of low end muddy sounds. So the cue actually starts with these flute figures that are meant to represent the child, and then kind of expands into this more dissonant harmony. So yeah.
Okay, let's listen.
All right, let's go. Whoa.
Amazing.
That was really well played.
Yeah. The players were quite good there. The players from my undergraduate. So very impressive. And also there's some things about this cue that were a little tricky to play. Like there were some rhythms that were some notes that were like offset a little bit from each other. So that can be quite difficult because you kind of just need to listen to yourself and not listen to what the other players are doing. But yeah, and like some more dissonant, trickier harmonies for players. So yeah, they did a great job.
What was your process of working with live musicians? So were you in the booth for this, or were you conducting?
Yeah, I was I was conducting actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So working with the live musicians in this sense was a big part of it, because when I wrote this, I was really concerned about some of those offsetting things or some of those quicker things. So the amount of recording time we had for this is a fairly short cue. I actually shortened it so we would get more takes. And that's like something I think more and more I'm learning is really important to consider, is how much recording time do you have and how much music do you need?
Yeah.
So maybe you can get a really good take of something a little bit more challenging if it's shorter.
Yeah.
So that's where I was like, this might be a little more challenging. I'm going to only score a certain amount of this clip, as opposed to I could have done this maybe a minute, maybe like 45 seconds longer, but I don't think I would have gotten as good a take as I got.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you a fan of recording in stems?
That's an interesting, I've never done it actually.
Okay.
Because this was just in the room, but I can totally see why people do it though. Recording in stems, especially for, I know it happens a lot on video games because you need to sometimes have the stems totally separated so you can like use a lot of the audio implementation software to fade things in and out, but I've never tried it actually. So I'd be really interested to see how that goes. Sometimes there are performances where I had where it's like, man, I wish I had a little more isolation than I do.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because I recently recorded a sort of chamber orchestral piece as well. and we had a couple of sessions. I think it's sort of 4 to 5 sessions, and we recorded everything in stems. And it was really interesting because even though sometimes things don't really line up and match up between parts, because obviously in a full orchestral setting people listen to each other and there's a kind of human response, but even without, we were able to sort of again manipulate the sounds so that, and we eventually discovered that gave us so much more flexibility as compared to recording the whole thing.
For sure. I think also treating the instruments a little differently, and also inevitably with any orchestra, especially student orchestras, there will be some mistakes. So being able to, it just gives you more takes to use if you do it in stems, because then you can isolate stuff and you can use any take you want at any place.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I'm still trying to find my stand on it. I still love to have full orchestras around. But I guess it's just a matter of
it's balance of time too as well. How much time do you have to record? Because if you have a huge budget and you can record a professional orchestra for a long time, have them all in the room. But maybe if you have less recording time, it's better to do stems. I don't know.
And a lesser budget.
Yes, of course.
Remember to save the budget for yourself. You don't want to not get anything out of it. Budgeting is important. All right.
Great. So we're back to
the big finale.
I guess the big finale.
I can't believe we're at the end of our live stream.
Yeah, it went so fast.
No, we're just fly so fast when you are the one who's actually hosting it. So the last piece is called Kung Fu. Well, from the title itself, yes, it's from a Kung Fu film, but no, it's not like Jackie Chan or something. No, it's actually a short film I did for I think it's martial arts association in the US. So the story of it is actually, you can go to YouTube and check it out. So the story is an old lady, she wants to learn Kung Fu. She doesn't know where to start, and she wants to learn it not because to show off or anything. She wants to protect people. She wants to protect the young ones. So the whole story has a lot of funny gags, but it has a very meaningful ending to it. So this piece is actually me making it longer, because like what we said previously, when you're doing like a film, it would be a very short cue, but this is a more like a suite. So I was kind of inspired by Suite of Mulan for this. Actually,
okay. I love that score. Yeah.
I love that score so much.
Have you seen the new version, like the live action version of Mulan? Right, we'll reserve our comments.
I'm not gonna say anything.
But I mean, whatever you think about the film, I still feel that the music is great.
The music is very good.
And it's not just about how it deals with colors and ethnic instruments, as you would, but it's also the development of themes and how certain motifs and melodies from the original animation can come back in the live action instrumentally, and it still sort of develops, and
that's true.
It takes a life of its own.
All right, so let's listen to it, and we'll go back to Mulan later.
Yeah, sure, we've digressed a bit, but let's go back to Jolene's. Yeah.
All right. Oh, sorry, guys.
Yeah, well done, Jolene. That was epic. I love the journey that it takes a listener on, with the opposition between, you know, going like slightly more aggressive, going really melodic, and then aggressive melodic. It's kind of like a rendezvous.
It is.
Yeah, that was a really nice journey. Love it.
Yeah, I love how even in the more toned down sections, you still had a really effective motor keep going, where you still felt the momentum of it, but you didn't necessarily feel the huge space of it all the time. So I thought that was really impactful, because you still could feel it building, but you didn't necessarily have to have so many elements in. So you went small and big. And I think that can be quite a challenging thing for a composer, when you can like use whatever forces you want to actually pare down the solo instruments, which I think was really effective here. How did you like plan that out?
So for starters, the front introduction, it wasn't there in the film.
Mm-hmm.
So it was just when after you hear the P-par doing that solo thing in the middle, and that's where the film actually starts. So what I was doing was I think I can't really start from that. It's kind of too sudden. So what I did is going back to Suite of Mulan, trying to learn how the composer did it. So yeah, that's how I actually built it up. Something dramatic, and then slowly building it down, and then coming up again. So that I had this plan in my mind for quite some time. I actually thought about it for a while, because I felt that the music was a bit too short and too sudden. But yeah, that's how I kind of thought of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. So we're actually having this problem of distortion again. Shall we take another sort of 2 to 3 minutes to reset, and then we'll come back and talk a bit more about Jolene's album?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that'd be cool. So for those who are watching, sorry, apologies again. Just give us a couple of minutes to sort it out. We'll be right back.
I can't do it.
Oh, we're good now.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
We're great.
Okay.
And we're back.
On.
Wait, give us a second.
Yep.
Are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay.
Awesome.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, it's a funny thing that happens with the interface. But we're good. We're back, and we're still alive. And we're still with you.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, amazing. So the track that we just heard was titled
Kung Fu.
Sorry, Kung Fu.
I know it's a bit not artistic enough.
No. I think it's brilliantly artistic. I was just trying to sort out technical issues. Yeah, and that was that's supposed to be the final track of Jolene's new album. I think it would be worth just spending some time talking about the album and like, you know, what your inspirations were behind the construction, and of course, you know, track listing and all of that. So if you'd like to just talk us through
okay, so basically I had this idea like last year. I wanted to showcase my music, because I was just coming out from RCM, no idea what to do. So I was like, hey, why not coming up with an album corresponding to a big occasion or event, which might, you know, make it sell more. So I was thinking, why not do it for Chinese New Year? That's why it has Soaring Dragon, Leaping Tiger in it. So the Chinese title Long Tong Hu Yue was one of the a piece I played when I was back in my Chinese orchestra when I in high school. I I can't really remember how it sounded like. I'm really sorry because I still have my buddies from the Chinese orchestra. Maybe they were watching it. Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't remember, guys.
Right, yeah, that explains how you're so familiar with all the ethnic instruments. That was meant to be my next question, which was, how do you learn it and how do you find it? But yeah, it's great to be part of it.
Yeah, it is fun. I actually started with the Yangqing because I actually wanted to try erhu, but there's too many people during that time, and erhu is quite popular.
Yeah.
I think back then there was a really popular video by Lang Lang and his dad. He was playing his dad was playing the erhu. That kind of sparks a lot of people playing it. So I was like, why not do something else?
Yeah. So I think at the same time, like with the Chinese orchestra, you do need a substantial section of bowed strings. I mean, the erhu, the zheng, and all that inclusive, because they kind of function like strings in an orchestra.
Yes,
they're naturally soft, and they also, I feel like they're less reverberant than Western string instruments in general, which kind of gives them that very unique character. And therefore, it
kind of just comes out when you actually blend them together with the strings. The erhu just kind of pops up to you in your ear for some reason.
Yeah.
And what else? So I actually combined all the pieces that I did when I was in RCM and before I actually go into RCM. So Soaring, Tiger, Leaping Dragon will be the first. Second was I think second is The Great Cold, which I wrote last year. You guys can go check it out on Spotify. There's like 5 pieces of music. The third one will be Omoide. Fourth is I can't remember now. No. Wait. Let me think. I actually have to go back to Spotify. Guys, give me a second. Sorry. Yeah, the fourth one is Mother's Love. Okay.
Listen to that.
Yeah, I actually shared that in Instagram. That was the Tina Guo competition where we were supposed to write like for a cello. So I kind of wrote it in a very hybrid way and letting the cello play the erhu parts. But now I switch it back and make it longer, and it's for my mom.
That's really sweet.
So hi mom, you're watching. And then the last piece is Kung Fu because I really like this piece. I really enjoyed writing for them, and it was an epic. It's a really nice epic finale for these 5 pieces.
Yeah, so totally agree. I think that makes complete sense to end on that track because it kind of has all the elements that are in your other tracks all in one track, like transition beautifully. So kind of a nice summary of your album.
It is really, really good.
I also want to thank my friend Kitty, who actually drew the album for me.
Oh wow.
So she made like 14 different versions of it.
Wow.
And she's like, have all of it.
That's incredible.
I'm actually really curious to see what the other versions of.
I'm gonna let you see it later. I actually was thinking like, hey, this is pretty cool. I kind of want to make my own shirt out of this. I don't know. It just looks really cool.
Yeah.
And I also want to thank my teacher who actually mixed this, Mr. Feng. He is the owner of Hits recording studio back in Malaysia, back in Penang. So he was helping me doing all the mixing and stuff. So I didn't have to worry about it. I just need to finish the music, which
Okay, yeah. Incredible.
Yeah, I love working with mix engineers.
Yeah.
I think they just add so much to the table, especially, being a second pair of ears.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just give you like a sanity check sometimes. Because sometimes you've been listening to something for like hours and hours and hours and you don't even know what the balance sounds like anymore because you're just been hearing it for too long.
And you get tired. You can't actually do everything by yourself.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's something you definitely learn in film music is everyone, even if they have a really small team, everyone has some sort of a team of mixing engineers or orchestrators or something to help them.
And it's always so highly collaborative.
Yeah.
That's
one of my favorite parts about it, actually.
Yeah.
Collaborating.
It's fun. I mean, being a composer, it's not like being an orchestral musician where you're collaborating every day and you're working with people in ensembles and orchestras. It can be quite a lonely job at times, but projects like these really give us an opportunity to get out there, to meet people, to work with people, and I think it's always so valuable. Yeah,
100%. I think one of the cool things though about Jolene's album is because of COVID and a bunch of other things, she did so much of this herself. which is really, really impressive that you did so much with like the programming and all of the writing and on every level. It seems like except the mixing, you did it all. So I think that's really impressive to put out an album that you're proud of and sounds this good.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah. It's great. I'm loving it. And for those of you who are watching us now, do check out her album.
In Spotify, Apple Music. What else? What would it be?
All sorts of streaming platforms.
Yeah, on Amazon.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. You'll be able to find it.
Yeah. Luke, are you planning to release all those tracks?
They're already released. Actually, fun fact about those tracks, a number of those tracks are the tracks I used to get into the film scoring program at RCM.
Oh!
So yeah,
okay.
So some of those, not all of them, but some of them are. So yeah, those tracks have been released, but I do plan on releasing an album of concert music and some other stuff probably by the end of the year. So working on it.
Oh, we can't wait.
We'll do this live stream
again. Let's do it again, yes.
So yeah, and Darren also will be releasing
yes.
an album.
So I'll be having a single that will come out sometime next week. That will be the full version of Artificial Thyroidistinoids, and then the potential album with all the rest of the tracks sometime in summer.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So I would like to thank my dad, who was at the back doing all of these slideshows and playing the music and preparing the Zoom call for us. So thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thank you so much.
He was suggesting if we could end it with a song.
Why don't we end it with another one of yours?
We'll end it with one last piece, Mother's Love. It's kind of, well, my dad has been suggesting it. So yeah, let's go with that piece.
Yeah,
amazing.
But
and thank you to everyone for joining us on this live stream.
We'll hope to do it again.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.